today is the 13th of March. 2 years ago, I didn't think I'd be in a situation where I could make a video like this. Not just because the idea of recording myself seemed quite bizarre and alien. 2 years ago, on Friday the 13th of March, I got told I had a 50% chance of still being alive in 12 to 18 months. The actual words that the doctor said to me was, he looked me in the eye and said, you need to realise how serious this is. You've got a 50% survival rate of 12 to 18 months. Which was shocking. So I'll give you a bit of a backstory. So I had been the wrong word. I have a lung disease called sarcoidosis. So sarcoidosis is an autoimmune disease, which means I have an overactive immune system. Somehow, or something, or they don't really know how, something got into my lungs and turned on my immune system to like override. And my immune system attacked me. It attacked my lungs. This resulted in me having cavities. I've got a massive cavity here, about this size. Smaller one here, about this size. And then various little ones all over. I was put on various medications, constant antibiotics, pronazolone, I can never say that, a steroid, to turn off my immune system. And everything was going fine, to be honest. I was going to the gym still, 5-6 times a week, pretty fit and healthy, I would say, to a certain extent. I would never probably have run a marathon, but then again, I don't think I would run a marathon regardless. And then November 2014, I coughed up blood. I had a few, I'm going to make this a bit shorter because I've gone over this before. Had a few sort of CT scans, tests, that type of thing. Obviously I was known for having lung condition. You go back through the old tests, cancer, TB, all that type of stuff. CT scan came back. I went to the Royal Brompton in London, and I had a fungal ball here. And they told me I had an aspergilloma, which is a fungal ball. Told me there is no cure. Great, I've already got one disease with no cure, let's have two. And then gave me some medication, told me how dangerous the aspergilloma was, told me that I'm at risk of bleeding to death, and sent me home. I wasn't really happy with the way it was handled, and me being me, I did a lot of research. The medication I had an allergic reaction to, ended up being taken to hospital by ambulance. And when I did loads of research, I found out that there was a hospital in Manchester called the National Aspergillosis Centre. And they are the leading specialists in the world for what I've got, which is fungus growing in my lungs. And they obviously I wanted to get to this hospital. Because of an allergic reaction, I was taken off the other medication. I was told that the medication that I was on, that was the one chance, and I lasted on it for 3 days before I was in hospital. So yeah, I was getting scared's probably an understatement. There was many benefits of me researching, many benefits. One of the negatives, I read all the medical papers and I saw all of the statistics and how bad this disease is and how quickly it can kill people. And also I found out that what's quick to me was long term for a doctor. So if I was reading something and it was like an 84% mortality rate in 3 years, to a doctor that's long term. To me, 3 years left of your life was pretty short term, especially when I was 34, 35 at the time. So when I got referred, my first day going to the hospital. I'd gone up by myself, got the train. It was a 5-hour train ride. I went into the to see the consultant. He pulled up all of my images. And as I said earlier, he looked me straight in the face and just said, "You need to understand how severe this is. There's a 50% chance that you won't make 12 to 18 months. He then told me that there was a guy who was around about my age who had recently died from this. There is no cure, and as I had tried one medication, they had one last medication that I could take, which only they could prescribe. So I got prescribed this medication, and that lasted 2 days. Collapsed and ended up in another ambulance on the way to hospital. Oh. So at that point I was like, that's it, I'm gone. And I did feel really ill. I was still coughing up blood. And when I say coughing up blood, I'm talking, if I had a pint glass, I could do a third of it of blood, pure blood. Scary. And coughing is the wrong word. It wasn't like a cough and it would just come up. I would just go whoop, and there would be blood. And this was literally the fungus eating through my lungs, and it trying to feed itself, I guess, or just being a royal pain in the backside. So yeah, I'd gone through the only 2 medications that I knew of, and I was still bleeding. So I then gone back, and I got taken into hospital, and they went into my lungs and blocked off some of the arteries in my lungs. So the ones that I was bleeding from, so I could no longer bleed from them. And then I was prescribed what was a relatively newish medication, which again, stupidly expensive. Thank you to the NHS. I speak to people in America that need the medication I'm on and can't get it. It's over £20,000 a year just for the medication. That's not the care, that's just the drug. And started this new medication, and then I spent about 31 days in and out of hospital. The longest period I was in hospital was 10 days. I felt really, really ill for 6 to 8 months, I would say. At some points, I felt so ill that the idea of dying was better than how ill I felt. And that probably sounds quite over-dramatical, but I really did feel ill. The illness is, the easiest way to explain it is having flu, which, well, probably flu times 10. So the worst flu you've ever had is 10 times as worse as that. I also couldn't breathe, with crippling headaches, but it was continuous. And at the time, I didn't think it would end. So it felt like a torture. It was like, this is the rest of your life, pain, then death. Whereas we've all been there, whether you've had a cold or a sore throat or something, and after 5 or 6 days, you've had the same thing, it starts getting you down. You're like, I just constantly feel ill. Yeah, I was like that every single day. I could not see a light at the end of the tunnel. Which is why I did not think I would be making this video, where 2 years later I would be saying I'm still here. My lungs are in a bad way. You can probably hear me breathing. So I guess I'm doing this video, one, really for myself, to remind me that in my darkest days I didn't think I'd be here. I really didn't. But also to anybody else that stumbles across this video, Sometimes it feels like the end. Sometimes you hope it is the end. And it sounds corny, but you don't know what the future holds. I honestly thought I was going to be dead. So I'm 37 now, and I need to be realistic. I'm 37. I'm still praying to reach 40, and I hope I reach 40. But for anybody that stumbles across this, it probably feels quite alone, quite scared. Whatever type of illness you've got, just always remember the human body is an amazing thing, and what doctors tell you is statistics, but it's based on people that aren't you. And whilst I accept science and I accept those type of things, every person is unique, and our DNA is unique, and how we personally interact with things is unique. And the biggest thing I've learned is your mental health plays a massive factor on your physical health.